Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the first session of the Parenting Together Support Group, sponsored by the Greenhouse Center. This is my first live session ever, so I'm a little unsure about how things work on the like checking comments and stuff like that, but we will figure that out. But I am excited to be here. I am excited that you are here. This is something that I'm really grateful to the Greenhouse Center for sponsoring and being willing to put out there. As I've worked with parents and been a parent, and I'll share a little bit about who I am and what makes me passionate about facilitating this group and sharing in this group. But as I've worked with parents and have been a parent, there seems to be a space for more support and more help, especially for kids who, or for parents who are parenting kids who have big behaviors or tricky behaviors that other parents might not understand. And so this is a place really for any parent, because it's just difficult and challenging to be a parent. It's also joyful and rewarding and wonderful. And so we want to be able to create a space for everybody to come in and feel supported and to be able to learn, how can I show up as the best parent possible to give my kids the best chance possible to grow into great, thriving adults. And so let me introduce myself. My name is Mat Edvik. I am a CSW, so that means that I am working towards my full licensure. I have a lot of experience in working with families, but first let me tell you about my family. I've been married for 25 years to Michelle. She's wonderful and astounding. I was going to say perfect, and nobody's perfect, but she's about as close as you can get. We've been married for 25 years. We have 2 adult children who have moved out and are thriving and doing well. And those 2 children have had their own unique challenges with some mental health issues that we've been able to work through and support them through, and they've been able to move out and are thriving. And then we have a couple of younger children that we adopted. I lose track of how many years ago. I think it's 8 years ago now that they came to live with us. And we adopted them through the foster care system. And as we were working through that process, we had the opportunity to foster and reunite 4 children through the foster care system over a 4-year period. And so I only share that just to let everybody know that that we've seen a lot. My wife and I, as parents, we've seen a lot and explored a lot and been helped and supported through a lot of challenges within our family, and my hope is that experience can translate into support for you as parents. Professionally, I spent over 20 years in education. I started my career wanting to be a therapist and recognized that at the residential treatment center I was working at, that the therapists were only meeting with the kids an hour a week, or for individual therapy, then an hour for group therapy, and then sometimes a family session. And as a teacher, or as a teacher's aide that I was working then, I was with the kids all the time and thought I might make more of a difference as a teacher. And so I spent most of my career as an educator, as a teacher and school director. And then after 20 years, I felt like it was time to get back to my therapeutic roots and meet with kids and families individually, one-on-one. And so that's where I am now, and that's what's brought me to the Greenhouse Center. And so in all of that time and experience, a lot of work with families and kids with different situations and different challenges, and so I'm hoping to be able to help support and share information that can be helpful and make life and parenting easier and more enjoyable. The framework for the group will go like this. One of the things that I've found to be really important and really helpful in maintaining my peace and composure as a parent has been to find the things that are the non-negotiables that help me stay in a good place and that help my way of being be as positive as possible. And I'm not perfect, and if you were to ask my kids, they probably could tell you lots of times, and probably times every day, they were like, yeah, Dad did not live up to to the ideal that he might share or express in teaching this group. But finding things that have worked for me to be able to keep my nervous system in a good place, to help me stay peaceful and calm, and has been really important. And one of those has been breath work and paying attention to my breath and using breath to be able to reset and to be able to, if I'm feeling upset and out of control, to be able to use my breath to get back into feeling like I'm in a safe place and feeling like I am regulated would be the word that we would use. Doesn't seem to be the best word to me right now, but that's what comes up. And so for the first part of each of these sessions, I would like to teach some different breathwork patterns and practice breathwork patterns with you, and give you the opportunity to do them along with me and see if they work, see if they make a difference. And so let's go ahead and do that, and then I want to share some of the materials and books that I'll be drawing from in teaching the educational part of the groups. Okay, so today I'm going to be using a timer, and we're going to practice a breathing technique called conscious breathing, and it is simply being conscious and controlling our breaths. And we're going to slow our breath way down today to a level or a speed that is slower than we usually would breathe normally. And so it's going to be a 5-second in, 5-second out, pattern. So that ends up being about 6 breaths per minute. And so I just have a little interval timer that we'll be following. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it or not. And so go ahead and just, if you're driving, you can do the breathing while you're driving, but keep your eyes open. Don't get too relaxed. Don't close your eyes. But if you're in a place where you can, get comfortable. Just allow yourself to close your eyes and just take kind of a sip of breath in. Just notice how that feels in your nostrils, that coolness as the air goes into your nostrils. And notice as it goes into your lungs and expands your lungs and out. And we're going to start our 5 minutes of connected breathing. 5 seconds in for the breath, and then 5 seconds out. And we will start right now. 3, 2, 1, breathe in. boring, whether this is silly, whether there might be more important things to get to. That's just your mind resisting something new. Now go ahead and breathe through that resistance. We're about halfway. If you find your mind wandering, just bring your mind back to the breath in. Last one, in. Now the big exhale. Okay, there you go. 5 minutes of conscious breathing, just paying attention, equal amounts in, equal amounts out. Thanks for participating in my daily breath work with me. Hopefully you're noticing that you're feeling more calm, a little more relaxed. And one thing about breathing techniques and breath works and in working with your kids, you might have seen your kids learn coping skills, but then when their big behaviors or their outbursts or anger or anxiety picks up and gets to a high level, and you recommend do one of your breathing exercises, they're like, I don't want to do it. And I think that's true for us too as parents, that when we have skills and ways to cope with the big feelings that come up as part of parenting, that in the moment we're like, I don't want to do the breathing, or I don't want to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or whatever the grounding skill or the coping skill is. And that's because once our nervous system is tripped and we're in one of those states where we're like angry or anxious or really fearful about something that's happening within our family, doing the exercise is not the first thing on your mind. And so one thing that I found is having a consistent practice and a list of things that these are the things that I do consistently every day or most days to be able to put my body and my nervous system in the best place possible helps to avoid or helps my system to be more resilient, so I'm not having those big emotional flare-ups or those big emotions come up as much. Okay, we have a few minutes left, and so I just wanted to share a few things that when we're doing the education part or the skills part of the training, I'm going to be drawing from a few resources. The first one, and the one that I recommend most often, is this book called The Anatomy of Peace. As far as relationships and my attitude and way of being in parenting, this has been just the book that I've read the most and referred to the most. And one of the basic principles that will come out of here that we'll talk about a lot is the importance of my way of being in my interactions with other people, and in this circumstance, in my way of being towards my kids, and how I am coming across to my kids. Because one thing that has been true for me is I can learn the skills and I can learn the right things to say, but if my way of being towards them is off, then the child is going to respond to my way of being way more than whether or not I said the right thing. So we're going to talk about how do we continue to be in the best way of being possible. And that is connected to these two books, Raising Kids with Big Baffling Behaviors. If you are working with a therapist at the Greenhouse Center, there's a good chance that they've recommended this book to you. And this is a great book that talks about polyvagal theory and what is happening in your child's nervous system when these big baffling behaviors come up, especially kids who have experienced trauma or have been in a foster care situation. But even just kids who come with less ability. Well, one thing that's true about kids is they're born with all of the emotions, and they're not born with the skills to be able to manage those emotions. So as parents, that's part of our work, is to model how do we manage those big emotions and to teach them those skills. So Raising Kids with Big Baffling Behaviors, we'll refer to that a lot, and we'll talk about what it means for your kids to be going into watchdog mode or possum mode. I tend to refer to it as sloth mode. Or when they're in a great place and they're in owl or dolphin mode. And so we'll talk about those, and if you're like, what does that even mean? We will talk about this. Beyond Behaviors is another book that we'll reference that talks a lot about the importance of understanding what's going on in your child's nervous system that is eliciting these big behaviors, because they have a positive intention, even though they're hard to experience for them and for you, but there is a positive intention behind those big behaviors. And so this book will refer to that to understand what's going on underneath the surface, underneath that behavior, to kind of help have compassion towards your child, but also be able to help them co-regulate with you to get back into a good place. And then this book, Reclaim Compassion, which is written more specifically towards adoptive parents, but I think is helpful for parents in general, for when parenting is hard, and there are those times where the things that your kids are doing are tricky and hard and disappointing, and what happens there to us as parents when our nervous system goes into protection mode and we feel like we need to protect ourselves from the behaviors of our kids, and what that can do for to the compassion that we feel and our ability to have a really positive way of being with them. And so we'll talk about some things there, and then I'm going to refer to this book quite a bit too. It's called Just Breathe by Dan Brule, and this is where I'll be drawing a lot of the breathing patterns and techniques that I'll be sharing with you. So those are the materials. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I'll look forward to seeing you on Tuesday at 8:30 again, and we'll just keep that cadence going, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8:30, and we'll get better at this too as we go. So thanks everybody. Bye.